Okay. There's no one in the dining room. I'm sure that someone was just here. Maybe they left when we went looking. I should have been watching the dining room, but I had to look in other places. Yeah, examine the room. Why wouldn't I? The person who was just here had been in the dining room for a long time. Were they doing something here? Let me examine the room. I have to look for anything that seems suspicious. Floor. It smells a bit like oil. Oh no. Lift the carpet. This is... Paper and cloth soaked in oil was spread out underneath. What is this? Maybe someone did this while the dining room was closed. And this oil is... This oil. This is from the oil pot that went missing from the kitchen. Is the culprit going to start a fire with this? But how? To start a fire, this would need to be set alight. I can't see the top of it very well, but from what I can see, there doesn't seem to be anything strange about it. The cuckoo comes out of the clock every hour when the minute hand reaches 0. It's almost 8 o'clock, so it should come out soon. Maybe I should examine this cuckoo clock. It's right where the oil is. I don't know. The cuckoo? Standing on a dining room chair to reach, I opened the door to the cuckoo. There was a lit candle where the cuckoo should have been. Why is this... So when it comes out, it falls and then lights stuff on fire. Was this also done when the dining room was closed? To drop the flame onto the floor. Right, there's oil-soaked paper and cloth on the floor. The clock is designed to have the cuckoo come out every hour, so they plan to use that to make the lit candle fly out. The candle is unsteady, so it would fall. If that happened, the flame would start a fire. Wouldn't, like, as it was falling, it would get put out by the wind, though? Don't you think? I don't know. Huh? It's almost 8 o'clock. I looked at the clock face and suddenly realized. When the minute hand reaches 0, the candle is going to fly out. I have to take it out before that happens. It's hot. Hurrying to remove... Blow? Just blow? Go, whoo! Hurrying to remove the candle from the cuckoo clock, I accidentally touched the flame. Are you dumb? As soon as I did, I lost my balance. Oh no? I'm going to fall off the chair, but I can't let go of the candle. I toppled head first, still holding the candle. Ellie... Just then, somebody ran to me and caught me as I fell. Mr. Irving? Are you okay? Mr. Irving gently lowered my body to the floor. Yes, thank you so much. You surprised me. Maurice told me that the dining room was locked, so I came to check and saw you about to fall off the chair. At that moment, Mr. Irving saw the candle in my hand on the floor. Is this... Yes, this was all done to start a fire. This candle was placed so it would fly out of the cuckoo clock when it struck 8 o'clock. That's why you have the candle. Thank you, you saved us. Are you hurt? Were you burned? Mr. Irving took the candle from me and put out the fire. Looking worried, he took my hands and looked me in the eyes. I'm okay. Embarrassed and feeling hotter than before, I looked away and noticed that Mr. Maurice and some of the others were at the entrance. I can't believe it. There really was almost a fire. Who was it? Who could have done something like this? Everyone, come here. Someone was trying to set fire to the dining room. Louisa called out through the manor in a loud voice, and one by one, everyone gathered together. When was this all set up? How terrifying. You're not kidding. Were they trying to kill us all? I'm scared. Who would do such a thing? I looked around at the gathering and noticed something. Huh? Where's Mr. Jack? Is he still in the kitchen while all of this is going on? Oh, yeah, really. We left the kitchen together. Were you with him the whole time? Yeah, I was. That's a bit suspicious. Jack is the chef, right? Sounds like he ran away because he's the culprit. Huh? Ellie! Ellie! You literally go... He has silver hair and green eyes. He looks a lot like Irving, actually. Weird. Oh well. So dumb. Even if he ran away, he must be somewhere close. I'm gonna look outside. Yes, please. Noelle, could you ask the people in the village to help look for him? Yes, sir. That'll really help. You all look inside the manor. Okay. I don't know if he actually ran away, but let's look for Mr. Jack. There wasn't anybody in the reception room, although... I stood in front of the door to the basement. Ellie, where are you going? Mr. Irving, who had followed me here, asked dubiously. Are you really thinking of looking for Jack, the chef, in there? You'd need the key to get in. I can't imagine he'd be in there. If he was just a servant, then I would agree, but maybe if it's Mr. Jack. Was there something about him? Mr. Irving, you haven't met Mr. Jack yet, have you? No, I only know that he's a young chef. Mr. Jack has silver hair and green eyes. He's probably the same age as you, Mr. Irving. You're very different people, but if you look closely, he does seem to look like you. Do you mean that's why, just maybe? I see. Maurice and the others are looking everywhere else, so let's try searching here. Yes, if he really is here, that would mean that Mr. Jack is. Once underground, we found ourselves at a loss for words. The door. The bookshelf had been moved aside, revealing a hidden door. I'm sure I put it back where when I left here last night. Does this mean he's beyond this door? Perhaps. Mr. Irving opened the door, hands trembling. He seemed to be nervous. Well, hello, my lord. What a coincidence. I wasn't expecting you here. Mr. Jack was in the room where the exorcism took place. In his hand was a lit candle. The smell of oil wafted through the air. Mr. Jack, what were you doing here? Oh, you don't want to get any closer than that. It'd be too dangerous. Mr. Jack pointed the candle at us. Dangerous if I accidentally drop this, that is. I don't want to hurt any more girls if I can help it. If he drops that candle onto the floor now, no doubt the fire will spread very quickly. I had no other choice but to stop. Are you my older brother? Why are you still alive? The lord stared at Mr. Jack, a stunned look on his face. That's what you're worrying about, my lord. Given the situation, why not worry about your life first? I thought you were dead until now, that I'd never be able to see you again. You're disappointing me. By the looks of things, you haven't changed that much. You were way more impressive when seen from afar. Mr. Jack's voice lacked its usual charm. It had become cold, lifeless. Is this who he really is? He's always been so bright and cheerful. Was that all just an act? Well, let's talk if you want to know so much. Why don't we start from Mother's attempted double suicide? Double suicide? You mean when her car crashed into the sea? That was an accident. It seemed that Mother was very disappointed in me. She tried to kill us both so I wouldn't mess up anymore. It can't be. Unbelievable. So that's how backed up against a wall she was, enough to do something like that. They found a dead body, but it wasn't yours, right? That's right, I escaped from the car alone, then made my way to a port. There, I came across a boat of human traffickers. I agreed to work with them if they prepared a dead body for me in exchange. Luckily, one sailor had died during their trip, so I passed his corpse off as my own. Working for human traffickers? You mean like a slave? Why did you do that? Couldn't you just come home? Well, no, obviously. Otherwise, why would I even stoop so low? If Grandfather found out I was alive, he'd bring me back. Who knows what he'd end up doing with me then? With him regarding me as the devil and Mother gone, I just knew there'd be no way I could go on living here. Being a slave for the rest of my life would have been so much better. But now, with Grandfather gone, I was able to come back. Was able to come back? By changing your name and working here as a servant? And having already plotted to commit this crime, right? You're right again, Ellie. Good job foiling my plans one after the other. So you're the mastermind behind all of this. I guess so. Now that it's come to this, what else can I do but admit it? Mr. Jack, can we go over everything that's happened one at a time? Sure. I want to know how much you know, so ask me anything. Not sure if I'll answer, though. Ugh, still, it's now or never. Was it you who gave Mr. William all those instructions claiming yourself to be Mr. Oliver? Yes, it was. I studied penmanship under Keith, so it wasn't hard to write like him. I see, so you were studying penmanship. Mr. Jack could have indeed added to the will a few weeks ago. Seems fair to assume he was behind all the forgeries. How did you enter this room? I have the key. I stole it when I was a kid and hid it in the manor, thinking it may become useful one day. That's how. Then the predecessor's room key also. Yeah, I have it. I used that to take the rifle and the knife from his room. Oh, okay. Mr. Keith came up to the attic the day before his death. Was it perhaps your room he was visiting, Mr. Jack? I'm surprised you know about that. Someone must have seen him, huh? Yes. Why did Mr. Keith visit your room? Apparently, Mr. Keith saw my face and realized who I am. That's why he visited. I also learned at that time he was impersonating Father. I mean, I already assumed someone was. So you killed Keith because he found out who you are? Yeah, at that time I was already thinking about this plan, so I couldn't let anyone get in my way. Actually, I was waiting for him to die naturally. I heard it wouldn't be much longer for him. So about your objective, what do you want to achieve by killing Mr. Irving? Surely you're not trying to become the head of the family. Oh, I surely am. The title, the position, it all belongs to me. I came to take it back. Belongs? Take it back? What nonsense. Do you even know what being the head entails? Well, what I do know is we won't settle this with words, which is why I decided to kill you instead. Yep, blame it all on Father's spirit and the actions of the perpetrators themselves, then reveal I was alive all along and take my rightful place as the head of the family. But every step of the way, you were there to follow my plans. I never expected those would-be culprits to turn their back on me one by one. Is that why you decided to burn everything? Yes, as a last resort. Burn your body beyond all recognition so that you and I could switch places again. Not a bad plan, right? Huh, you've really come to know fear, your face says it all. You put everyone in this manor at risk. What's so funny about that? How horrible do you think your actions have been, really? Well, I think I know. I mean, I had to do it alone. It was the only recourse I had. Mr. Irving glared at Mr. Jack coldly, but the latter just gave him a wry smile. Well, I told you almost everything. You know my plans well, so I talked more than I should have in the end. Mr. Jack said that he told us everything, but is that really true? I think he's hiding something. Mr. Jack, are you sure you've told us everything? Are you doubting me, Ellie? Yes, aren't you hiding something? I'm sure he's hiding something. I need to find out what it is. Oh, here we go, question time. Yeah, what about the silk thread, right? It has to be something. Hey, you don't even have full health, loser. What am I hiding? Maybe you're hiding something about that incident. You lied about something just now, right? Which incident are you talking about? The residence fire. Everything else he didn't lie about. He only mentioned the fire, didn't he? The fire you just told us about. You said I had to do it alone, but is that really the case? You're doubting based on what evidence? There are two pieces of evidence that prove you couldn't have tried to set the fire alone. The first one is, alright, let's save. Did I overwrite that? I think I did. Candle. Wait, what is the question? I mean, he was doing, yeah, no. Oh, time. The other is the caramelized, he said it took a while. He was doing the caramelized onion. Okay, so it's not, this is not the, even though it looks like this, like just like made brown, it's not, obviously not that. So he did that an hour, so he had an alibi, so he has someone else. There was a burning candle in the cuckoo clock. Someone knew it would pop out on the hour every hour. That means that the candle itself was set within the last hour. However, you were cooking for that entire hour. There's no way you would have left your workstation. Natalie also mentioned that you and her were together right up until this whole commotion about the fire began. You wouldn't have had time to set the candle yourself. Is Louisa? Is it Louisa? And so you doubted me when I said I had to do it alone, huh? Yes, you couldn't possibly have acted alone, which means you must have an accomplice. That accomplice is... I don't think it's Louisa. She's too dumb. The only one I can think of is Layla, because I assume that the one she actually made the promise with was actually this dude, Victor. Even though he's really Irving, it's really annoying when this twin thing happens, because you're like, what am I actually supposed to call them? But I'll just call them what they're calling him, which is Victor. So I'm gonna say Layla, but I'm gonna save it first. True criminal. Layla. I believe the accomplice is Miss Layla. She's the only one besides you who didn't come to... Oh, that's true. That's a good point as well, actually. When the commotion with the fire was taking place, Miss Layla is your former fiancé, right? It was actually you who promised to marry her, right? And? Is that the only reason why you're doubting Layla? I have proof that she was your accomplice too, that is... I do. I don't know. It's not this. It's not this. It's not this. Not that. Not that. Not that. Not that. Not that. Maybe that? Wait, did I save it? Shit. Some silk thread went missing from the manor. I think it was used to make it seem like... that makes sense. I think it was used to make it seem like Miss Layla was in bed. I went to the room but only saw her hair. She must have been outside. And can you prove that? Should we go to the room and check? So, Miss Layla is the accomplice. You're just lying to protect her. Are you and Layla really working together? Then Layla knows about everything. Mr. Irving muttered in disbelief. And Layla's already fled, has she? If so, then why are you still here? Why? For some reason, the words seemed to escape him. Yes, why? Instead of running away with Miss Layla, he came here. I don't think he's setting the place on fire. I don't think he came here to commit suicide. Did he come here to stop the fire? To stop the fire. Mr. Jack, you came here to stop the fire, didn't you? At first, I thought you came here to start the fire, but doing so would be suicide. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't think he wants to die. But doing so would be suicidal in more ways than one, given the circumstances we're in. A fire down here would put you in direct harm's way, too. You wouldn't be able to prepare things in advance and then light the wick later, like in the dining room. Which is why you think I came to stop the fire instead, huh? Yes, a burning candle had already been set, even before you came here, right? Oh my, you know everything, don't you? When it all comes down to it, you don't really have much to do with the fire at all, do you, Mr. Jack? You were cooking such a time-consuming dish at the time, and you didn't seem to be doing anything until the fire. Yeah, Layla only told me to take my luggage and get out of the manor before 8 o'clock, so I didn't know much about any fire until then. I came here because Layla told me that she'll erase my cursed past, which gave me a bad feeling. I suppose I should have just fled together with her. But when I heard about the fire, the faces of everyone in this manor sort of flashed before my eyes. Sigh. How could I have done such a mediocre job? He stared at the candle in his hand and took a deep breath. Why not put out the fire? If I put it out, it'll feel like this is all over. I don't have the strength to do it myself. I see. What? At that moment, Mr. Irving put his hand over the burning candle. What are you doing? You couldn't put it out, so I did. The fire is out. Isn't it hot? It's hot and it hurts. I probably burned myself. But now we can put all this behind us, can't we? Just stop this. You really do look impressive right now. Mr. Jack smiled at Mr. Irving and quietly spoke to him. I see. I give up. Watching them as they faced one another, I suddenly remember the photo of them both as children. Everything may have changed since then, but I could still feel some of their old brotherly bond. But what I don't really get is, I don't really believe that he was exorcised. I don't believe that's a thing. But like, I don't think he was ever possessed by a demon, but like, why was he so angry that he was like slashing people? I don't really get that. When we entered the hall, I could hear loud voices. Let go of me! Don't lay your filthy hands on me! You're so noisy when you're awake. Criminals should at least have some manners. What did you say? You have no right to say that about other people. You're the one who needs to learn some manners. Apparently, Mr. Ewan had persuaded Miss Layla to come to the hall with him. Oh, Ellie, Irving, you guys caught the chef? I was surprised to catch the lady here. She is the true culprit behind the fire. Ah! Miss Layla looked in our direction and ran towards us, leaving Mr. Ewan behind. Irving! She screamed and hugged Mr. Jack. You were still here after all. Why didn't you come? I was waiting for you outside. You didn't come after a while, so I returned to the manor. But when I did, I was captured by this commoner. I see. Sorry, Layla. Mr. Jack stroked Miss Layla's head to calm her down and confessed. I'm really sorry, but this is it. I'm sorry that you sacrificed so much. What? It doesn't look like your wish is going to come true. It was my fiancé's wish, so I wanted to do everything I could to make it come true. Miss Layla saw Mr. Irving and me and gasped as if she was just figuring something out. No. She crumpled to the floor. Layla, my brother told us everything. Could you also talk to us? I don't know if she's willing to talk, but at least I can ask. Miss Layla, you knew who Mr. Jack really was, didn't you? When did you find out? A long time ago. I found out after receiving a letter from Irving. Is that so? And you acted as if you didn't know? It seemed that my mother was involved in switching the two of them, so I didn't know what would happen to Irving if she found out that I knew. Was Miss Grace involved? It's horrible. She knew that I was in love with Irving but forced me to marry Victor. So I swore to myself in secret I would marry Irving after having him regain his position as head of the family. But then why did she get so mad when he clearly didn't remember? Like, she knew that he wouldn't remember because it wasn't him. Why did she get so angry? I've always dreamed of that day. Miss Layla bit her lip in frustration. On the first night, poison was mixed into Mr. Irving's wine. There's no point in hiding it now. I did that. I don't need to tell you why, do I? But Miss Layla, you had an alibi. You were with Mrs. Grace in your room the whole time. I asked my mother to say that in her testimony. Of course Mother doesn't know what I did. At the time of the Rose Garden incident, you didn't have a letter with instructions on you, so there must not have been a letter in the first place. No, I wasn't told what to do. When you attacked Mr. Irving in the Rose Garden, you claimed to have been deceived. Why? She was talking about us switching places, but she already knew. I'm sorry, I thought that saying that would unsettle you. I wanted Ewan to use the opportunity to kill you. So that was why. Even so, it seems like your condition suddenly got worse after that. I was making preparations for the fire. I was hoping that the people around me would be less suspicious if they thought I was in bed all day. Ah, I see. Layla, you... Just then, Mrs. Grace called out to her in a shaky voice. Mother, you're here. Were you listening? Yes, what is the meaning of this? Were you trying to burn me to death as well? I'm sorry, I thought this was the only way that I could be with Irving. After all, no matter what I want, you would never agree to anything that inconveniences you, isn't that right? I couldn't let you interfere. Interfere? It looked like you were getting along. There's no love lost here between mother and daughter. Ewan glanced at Layla and her mother before turning back to us. Well, for now, it seems like we've got most of the facts from the culprits. Yes, I think we've solved everything. No, why was he an asshole? Like, why was he an asshole back then? Like, was it just because he was feeling a lot of pressure from being the heir, and he just snapped? I don't know. I see. Did you find out anything about my father? I killed him. Do you want to punch me? Go ahead. I think it's down to the police station with you, buddy. After glaring at Mr. Jack for a while, Mr. Ewan opened his mouth. No, I won't hit you. I don't think murder is something that can be forgiven with a punch. Exactly. Yeah. I see. Then what are you going to do? Well, I don't think that anything can make this all better. But I don't think that is something I can decide by myself. No, honestly, this goes far beyond our hands. So, Mr. Irving looked at everyone around him and made a declaration. I'm going to call the police. Let the crime be judged by the law. Police? No, wait. If you do that, the whole world will know about this. You would damage the Rockeford family name. I don't have any problem with that. This family has been hiding too much. Thanks to that, a number of truths were warped and used for malicious purposes. I realized this after what happened here, so now we aren't going to hide anything. We will reveal it all to the light of day. These wounds that will be exposed are old scars anyway. All we were doing was hiding them in the dark. Mr. Irving. Well, I disagree. I do not approve of this. I'm the head of this family, Aunt. Isn't that just temporary? You aren't the official head of the family yet. I will take on this mantle henceforth. I was entrusted this position by the predecessor. Mr. Irving, his voice firm, made a declaration to everyone there. As the head of this family, I will cleanse these sins one by one. I hope that everybody will do their part to help. With that, Mr. Irving officially became the 10th head of the Rockeford family. 1 week later. Phew, things are finally settling down. Most of the guests had already left. We found ourselves cleaning a much quieter manner. The police were always coming and going before her. Everything was just so busy. Speaking of police, quite a few people have been caught now. I wonder what will happen. Yeah, most of these were just attempts, so the ramifications shouldn't be too serious. Apart from Mr. Jack and Miss Layla, that is. Mr. Jack killed Mr. Keith and instructed other people to commit crimes too. Miss Layla is responsible for both a poisoning and an arson attempt, so the expectation is that she'll be punished severely as well. I know, right? I was really shocked about Mr. Jack. Well, maybe not as much as Natalie would be, as she was working closely with him. Louisa glanced at Natalie, who was cleaning the stairs. Are you okay, Natalie? Yeah, I'm okay. I was just remembering about the other day. The other day? When Mr. Jack left the manor, he gave me a hair clip. She took it out of her pocket and showed me. It was a lovely clip with a beautiful stone set into it. He said it was to keep my fringe out of my eyes during work. I see. Did Mr. Jack say anything else? Yeah, he told me he was sorry. Then I remembered I'd met him before. He pointed a knife at me then. It was really scary. Now that I think about it, I think he also said sorry at that time too, all those years ago. Maybe it wasn't a black dog or a frightening criminal I met that day in the woods. Maybe it was just an ordinary boy. That's the feeling I get now. I see. I hope you won't have a reason to be scared anymore. Yeah, hopefully I'll be able to use this clip soon, someday when things settle down more. Eventually we finished cleaning and Louisa and Natalie each went to work elsewhere. Sorry, I need to get this up. There we go. What should I do? While I was deciding, someone came through the front door. I'm home, Ellie. Oh, Mr. Irving, welcome home. When I saw Mr. Irving, I raced over. How was it? The police? I have given my testimony. It looks like we can finally have a break. The Lord had barely had a moment's rest since then. He'd been cooperating with the police day in and day out. It'll be a while before the investigation is fully over, but I'm glad we can at least have some time to breathe. Will you be retiring to your room? Well, how's your workload? I was thinking what I should do next. Then, can we talk? Oh, but feel free to say no. It's not like I'm ordering you as part of your work. I won't say no. I'd like to talk. Good, let's go to the Rose Garden. We won't be bothered there. Mr. Irving and I went to the Rose Garden. So, have you had any more dreams since then? The question came suddenly while we were walking among the flowers. No, I haven't. I've been able to sleep well. Good to know. Looks like I won't be dying anytime soon. That's right. Still, if ever I do have more, just know that I'll be there to save you. Ellie. Mr. Irving stopped and looked at me. Thank you. I am really grateful to you. You saved me, all of me. Not just my life, but my soul too. Mr. Irving held my hand tenderly, the way a person grasps something dear to them. It felt like there was no distance between us, even though given our social positions, there should be. Are you sure? If you're fine with it, then so am I. I decided who to cherish. I decide who to cherish. Yes. With his powerful words, I felt my anxiety melt away. Speaking of dreams... My prophetic dreams, if they're happy ones, I'd love to have them again, even tonight. I know what you mean. What sort of dream do you have in mind? Well... First, my lord, you'd be by my side. Yes. After that, I revealed all the dreams I'd like to have have to Mr. Irving. My dreams of a happy future for both of us. Alright, well... I was hoping for a little bit of a more romantic ending, but that's fine. That was definitely interesting. I definitely had fun with it. It's just, I don't know. It's not a perfect game, but it's definitely interesting. I feel like the translation, writing was a little bit off. Could have maybe done with a different editor or something. I don't know. But it was fun figuring everything out. I do like games like this. I'm just worried that they'll expose how dumb I am, you know? But yeah, I can't skip this, by the way, I don't think. Which is fine. Oh, a Japanese person did the translation? Does that mean that they edited it as well? Because sometimes they have a translator and then they have an editor as well. Like someone who will read through the translation to make sure it's fine. But maybe that's an extra step. I'm waiting to see if there's more after the credits, because sometimes there is. So we could get more romance after the credits. It just feels kind of like... Okay, no, there's not. It just feels kind of like... everything was resolved and then it was very short after bit. Can I... Is there a gallery? Yeah, okay. This is probably the Ewan ending. The Ewan romance route. Which I'm not going to do, by the way. I like Irving. It feels extremely canon, you know what I mean? You're out here protecting your lord and trying to get him to survive, and then you just go for somebody else. It doesn't really feel right, but I understand. Ewan has his own charms, so that's fine. But I'm good with how things are right now. Anyway, yeah, that was what's it called? Gothic Mansion? Wait, it's on the end. What's it called? Oh, Gothic Murder. Okay. Gothic Murder. Adventure that changes destiny. I feel like that little bit under the title could also have been changed and translated a bit better. But yeah, it was good. It was good. I definitely enjoyed myself, and I did it all in one sitting, so, because I heard it was short, so I was like, I'm just gonna continue. Finishing it. So yeah, that was definitely cool. Again, some things could have been better, like the freaking ending. And why is William on the front, like, he was only in it until like the second chapter, and he just vanished. He was never heard from again. Anyway, I will see you in whatever I decide to play next, which I'm not actually sure what that is yet. It will probably be another fucking word-heavy thing, but yeah, I will see you then. Bye.